Hey, everybody, it's Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Out the night out. You're tuning to Wrestle Talk. 657.
What up, Facebook Live? Please share. Please tap the screen. Thank you for being here. What up, family? Tap the screen. Share the broadcast. Always appreciate it.
Have some of the best damn interviews for professional and independent wrestling that you've ever heard.
And I'm Joe Lamb. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts, keep your arms in the vehicle at all times.
What up, DJ Pinky?
Begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the ride.
Thank you guys for being here. Please share the broadcast. We're ready to kick this off and do it big, baby.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Nightmare Jones here. It is 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. That means one thing and one thing only. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you are listening to the greatest podcast around, the Wrestle Talk Podcast. We got a heck of a night coming to you. We got J.Savage joining us for the High Spot segment. Then we've got Jerry Bostic. We got so much stuff going on. Let's not waste any more time. Let me get into this. Let me go ahead and bring in the man, the myth, the legend, the Night Out. What is going on, my friend?
Wrestle Talk Family. Que pasa, que pasa, que pasa, que pasa. We welcome you to the Wrestle Talk Podcast with Joe and Rene once again. Thank you guys all for being here. Nightmare Jones. It is Wednesday. It is 7:03 Central Time, man. And let me tell you what, bro. We got a lot to cover in the world of professional wrestling. But in order to do that properly here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast, there it is. The sound that makes my heart a-flutter.
Are you drinking natural light again?
No natty ice this time, man. I am back on the champagne of beers, brother. That's what I'm drinking tonight. What are you drinking tonight, Nightmare?
The High Life.
The High Life.
In fact, I do not have anything tonight, so yeah, I'm kind of bummed about that, but that's okay.
What do you mean? You don't have any beer? What's wrong with you?
I have boo.
Let me tell you something, Nightmare. It's okay, bro. It's all right to take a day off every once in a while from sucking back on Grandpa's old cough medicine. But let me tell you, man, you know who never takes a day off? The loyal members of the Wrestle Talk family and everybody tuning in right now on Facebook Live. Shout out to my boys over at the Buffet Club. That's you, Joe, my boy Dan, my boy Matt. Shout out to Tomas Pacheco and James Head and the rest of the gang. Joseph Seifkis. It's always great, man, to know that we're associated with so many wonderful wrestling companies, wrestlers, but most importantly, so many wrestling fans. If you are new to the Wrestle Talk Podcast, we welcome you. I don't know if you're watching us live here on Facebook or if you're listening to the replay or if you just visited us over at WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Either way, greetings and salutations from myself, the Night Owl, and my faithful co-host, Nightmare Jones. Joe, lots going on this week, man. Before we get into high spots, bro, what the hell have you been up to lately?
What have I been up to lately? Well, you know, I've been, I watched WrestleKingdom. I watched the New Year's Dash, and I decided that, you know, everybody kept saying that my hair was thinning, so I said, you know what, fine, and I shaved all my hair off, so I don't have any hair whatsoever.
Well, hey, TMI, bro, a little bit too much information. We don't want to know. I mean, it's one thing if you shaved your head, bro, but if you shaved all the rest of your hair, I don't think that's anything anybody really wants to know. I'm just saying, too much info, bro. Way too much info. But you know what?
I meant, Rene.
I do, bro. But you know what info we definitely need to make sure we put out there? First and foremost, I got a couple of shout-outs. Shout out to Kansas City Extreme Wrestling. Huge show coming up this Saturday. Wrestling for Pets. Your boy, the Night Owl, will be in the house doing some ringside commentary, and I'm going to be working as a part-time ring announcer for the show. Shout out to our boys over at NWL, the National Wrestling League, ladies and gentlemen, celebrating 1 year of existence, based here out of the Kansas City area. They are having a huge matchup this upcoming Saturday as well, where you will see the Monarch, Jeremy Wyatt, the Kansas City champion, face off against Dak Draper, the Missouri Wrestling Revival's Wrestler of the Year. Tons of exciting stuff going on here in the Midwest, Joe. But what you guys really need to know is what we got going on here tonight, because KCXW's very own J.Savage is going to join us for high spots. We're going to talk WrestleKingdom. We're going to talk WWE, talk a little Royal Rumble. And then we're moving on to a good friend of mine. His name is Alex Torrez. He's got a new song that he's about to drop for us right here, baby. And you guys will be the first to hear it. We'll come back from Alex Torrez. Then we'll go into the FWWC segment, the world's greatest fantasy wrestling group. Again, shout out to the Buffet Club in the house tonight, baby. Please tap the screen. Please share the broadcast. But yeah, we'll come back with FWWC. Perry Hartman is still in the hospital, but we will move forward with Snippets of Truth, because that is what he would want us to do, Nightmare Jones. You know that. That is exactly what he would want us to do. And then we're going to close out the show with a very special guest, Jerry the Boss Bostic. This man is the man in charge over at Imperial Wrestling Revolution, one of the best independent companies in the whole wide world. And he has done us the honor, and we have the privilege of having him on the show here tonight. I am so excited for tonight's show. But, Joe, I am in a little bit of pain. My neck hurts. My shin hurts. And my brain hurts a little bit. But all in a good way, because you know what, Joe? You may have been watching my social media. The Night Owl on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. Yes! Dancing Bear Muay Thai, bro. My buddy John Thane and the rest of the gang over there, man. I'm over there trying to up my health a little bit, bro. And let me tell you, man, it's the most fun I've had working out ever in my whole life, dude. Muay Thai is amazing. You know what? It's even more. What'd you say, Joe? I'm sorry.
If you're gonna start training in Muay Thai, you gotta train how they do in Thailand. You gotta find a tree and just start kicking it with your shin, so you deaden the nerves in your shin.
Kick the tree with my shin. Let me make sure I never ever do that, bro, because we were kicking the bag yesterday, and even just the bag, bro, left a bruise on my shin. And, you know, maybe that's what's supposed to happen when it's only your third session, but, bro, I'm going to do everything in my power to keep going back twice a week for my health. And also, always cool to know how to protect yourself, man. Whatever it takes to be able to take care of you and your family, I suggest you guys go out and do it. So big shout out to John Thane and our boys over at Dancing Bear Muay Thai. What's really cool, Joe, is that it's actually a combo deal with the Extreme Wrestling Center. It's in the same building. So while there's a group of guys over on this side studying how to become professional wrestlers. Over on the other side of the room, it's the Muay Thai class. So it's pretty awesome. And then there's guys that do both in one day, which is pretty awesome. But anywho, enough with my shenanigans and my stories, man. A shout out to all of those folks. Shout out to our wonderful sponsors. Find out more about them at WrestleTalkPodcast.com. But Joe, we got to get in the high spots with J.Savage, okay? So go ahead, cue us up, the high spots music. But before we do that, man, you know what it's time for, right? Because we got to do it at the beginning of every single show, right?
Yes. I do know what you're talking about, yes.
You didn't forget, did you?
Of course not. Of course not. We know that every day... No! that every show, when we do anything else, we have to play this.
No, Joe. No,
Right?
no. For those listening on the replay, I have my palm over my face and I am shaking my head. No, Joe, it is time, man, to do what we do about this time every single week, because you know we keep it official like a referee with a golden whistle, man. We ask everybody to kindly remove their caps, put their hands over their hearts, as we pay homage to the greatest country on God's green earth, and that's America, damn it.
Oh, say, can you see? And the rockets, red flag. Uh-oh. I'll make up for it now. Oh, the land of the free.
It's a tune in my eye every single time.
Every single time. Joe, why don't you do us a favor, man, and throw us right into the high spot segment, baby.
Earth Ring, we have now taken over your radio.
Hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em high. Hit 'em low, hit 'em low.
Straight to the home. You ain't got no game. I'm breaking you out the frame, coming through like a train. Something that takes over the whole world is my goal. With my unstoppable spoon, taking over control. You can't get none of that. Wait, run the deck.
Woo! Man, what the heck should we talk about tonight on the high spot segment, Rene? I mean, there's so much that we could talk about. The one thing we definitely have to talk about tonight is WrestleKingdom 12. I want to know what your thoughts about WrestleKingdom 12 was.
Bro, let me tell you something, man. This is the first WrestleKingdom that I've been fully invested in. And yes, maybe some of you guys are going to go, boo. It's fine. I'm a little late to the party. Anybody that's been listening to this show for even a fraction of a decent amount of time know that I never claim to be some sort of wrestling expert or super fan or anything like that. I'm just a fan, and I'm still relatively new at this, okay? So, I'm especially new at the whole WrestleKingdom New Japan phenomenon, all right? Truly, truly impressed by what they're doing over there, dude. I've never seen this style of wrestling before. I mean, I caught a couple of matches here and there from last year's WrestleKingdom, but man, I was absolutely blown away. And even before the show started, Joe, I made the commitment that I was going to do whatever I could to make sure that I tune in live, man. And let me tell you something, man. I'm definitely not regretting it, dude. It was an incredible show. I mean, when you think about just the beginning, the pre-show, you had the WrestleKingdom Rumble. And it just so happens then a gentleman that was on the show just a couple of weeks ago, the Bullet Club's very own Chase Owens, was in the Rumble, and he eliminated another former guest of the Wrestle Talk podcast in Delirious. So I was losing my mind, bro. It was fantastic. I mean, just the Rumble itself had me really excited because, you know, you see guys that you're not typically going to see on the main card. And the truth of the matter is, bro, that I just enjoyed it so wholeheartedly. I mean, I don't want to sit here and go through every single match. We don't have that much time. But you talk about, Leo Tonga in the match. You talk about an appearance by Tiger Mask and Jushin Thunder Liger. And, I mean, I could just keep going and going and going, dude. I mean, Bushi was in... I mean, dude, it was crazy. We could spend hours talking about the Jericho Omega match. We could talk hours about Naito and Okada, but what we really want to do is talk about it with you guys, the listeners of the Wrestle Talk podcast. So do us a favor, man, dial that number. Let's get the phone lines blown up. That number is, somebody type this out for me on the Facebook Live if you don't mind. Then if you're listening to the replay, lock this into your cell phone. That way you have it ready for the next time you're listening to us live. That number is, Joe, 657-383-1521. Again, that's 657-383-1521. Joe, I'm having a hard time putting all this into words, bro. What were your thoughts as I sit over here trying to gather my thoughts about WrestleKingdom 12?
Oh my goodness, so just like you, bro, this is my first time I've ever watched a full WrestleKingdom live. It was completely freaking awesome. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, so I made sure that after Wrestle Talk I took a little nap. I woke up, and I did miss some of the Rumble, but it's okay, because I went back later on and I watched it, but I ended up watching the entire show. It was freaking awesome. All I got to say about that Rumble was cheeseburger. How awesome is cheeseburger? I would love to have cheeseburger on this podcast. I think that would be freaking awesome.
Dude, you know what? Everybody was saying that Cheeseburger got robbed. Okay, maybe he should have won for us American fans, but the guy that he eventually lost to, Joe, is a guy that was just making a comeback. I believe he was a cancer survivor. Anybody out there who knows his name and can pronounce it properly, be sure to call in and help us. I know his name, but I can't pronounce it properly. Let me give it my best try. It is Masahito Kakihara. That's what I think it's supposed to be. But hey, listen, I don't claim to be an expert. That was very inspirational. Not 100% sure what he was saying once he won the Rumble, Nightmare. But what I can tell you is that the Japanese fans definitely seem to have some sort of connection with this gentleman, with Masahito. And they showed their appreciation for him, bro. And for whatever reason, they chose him to win the Rumble. And if he did, bro, it's because he probably freaking deserved it.
Absolutely. And I got to watch my favorite wrestler, Switchblade Jay Wright wrestle, which was awesome. I love Switchblade Jay Wright, but you know what? Let's go and get a caller in here and see what their thoughts of Wrestle Kingdom.
Let's do it.
Michael, you're live on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful.
What's up, Mikey?
Were you able to watch Wrestle Kingdom? And if you were, what were your thoughts on it?
Technically, I don't follow Wrestle Kingdom, but I'm more like into, WWE stuff, but didn't get a chance to watch it because a lot of stuff has been going on with me.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah. Wait a minute. Let me stop you right there, Michael, because I know you're a WWE guy, and I have a great question for you, okay? On Monday Night Raw, during one of the segments, Kurt Angle was on the phone with an unknown female, and he said, yeah, I know you haven't been in the ring in a long time, but it would be really special to have you be a part of the first ever 30 women Royal Rumble. Then he was interrupted by the Bar. My question to you, Michael, and I'm asking you to speculate a little bit, who do you think he was talking to on the phone?
I believe you know what? I believe he was talking to the former 7-time women's champion Trish Stratus, because we all know she holds her own in the ring, and so I believe he was talking to Trish Stratus.
Wow. You know what? It would be great to see Trish Stratus come back. And I'll tell you one other thing, Michael. There's a lot of people speculating. We can ask the gentleman that's going to be joining us in the second hour, Jerry Bostic, about this. But he recently booked Kelly for an IWR show, which makes me feel like maybe she's getting the mojo back about wanting to come back into professional wrestling. And I, for one, would be extremely excited to see Kelly back. What would you think if it was her that made an appearance in the first ever all-women's Royal Rumble?
Okay, if it was Kelly, then you know what? To be honest with you, I love Kelly. She was the former then Divas champion. You know what? If she enters in that Royal Rumble and then wins it, oh my goodness, what a comeback.
Dude, that would be absolutely amazing. All right, Michael, well, we want to thank you for joining us on the High Spot segment. We're going to put you back on hold. Feel free to hang tight and keep listening in. We're going to move on to the next caller, Nightmare Jones. And this gentleman happens to be in the professional wrestling business himself. He is actively working throughout the Midwest and will actually be at the Wrestling for Pets show this Saturday for Kansas City Extreme Wrestling. And I believe he's calling in to give us his thoughts on WrestleKingdom 12. Welcome back to the show, our buddy Drew Chandler.
What's up, guys? This is actually my first time on the High Spots segment, so
Awesome.
I am super stoked.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome.
Good to be here. It's good to be here.
What's on your mind, brother?
Man, you guys were talking about WrestleKingdom, and you know, I'm kind of like you, Rene. I'm not like super familiar with the happenings in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, I see what becomes popular and what becomes shared on social media and stuff like that throughout the year, but I don't really keep up with it aside from WrestleKingdom. I caught WrestleKingdom the past 3 years, and you know, this year I was kind of like really enamored by the whole Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega thing, because I saw some of the build-up leading up to it, you know, the build-up that we all kind of saw as wrestling fans across social media, and I was enamored by it. So I tuned into WrestleKingdom, and actually the match that really drew me in and the match that really pulled me into the story of what it was didn't turn out to be Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. The match that I absolutely loved was the American Nightmare Cody versus Kota Ibushi. Now, Kota Ibushi I was familiar with a little bit from the Cruiserweight Classic, but again, I'm not super familiar with him. But Cody has been, in the past, one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. So that alone kind of drew me in. And the match, as it played out, I was just like, this match is the real deal. Like, this is the reason why I should be watching New Japan Pro Wrestling, is for matches like that. And Jericho and Omega, I mean, they did their job. I felt like, if I'm going to be completely honest, it was a little bit overhyped for me, because I felt like that match was a little bit overrated. And I appreciate Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho and the wonderful stuff they did in pro wrestling, and they've had wonderful careers, both of them. But that match didn't quite do it for me.
Well, let me jump in here real quick, Joe, because I want to know what your favorite match of the night was. I mean, you know, we haven't even talked about, you know, the Bucks versus Roppongi or the Fatal 4-Way for the junior heavyweight championship. But here's what I think after listening to you, Drew. The match itself, bell to bell, was very entertaining. Was it a 5-star match? Probably not. Did they do a good job telling the story? Yeah, they did a pretty good job. I think what was not overhyped was the significance of the match. I don't think anybody went in expecting Ospreay Ricochet, you know what I mean, or you know, Taker Michaels, because Jericho is limited compared to what he was 10 years ago, and obviously Omega is at the height of his game, so there was a little bit of an imbalance there due just simply to age. But what I can tell you is the significance of the match, Drew, I think supersedes anything that happened from bell to bell, because for the first time in recent memory, you had a legitimate future WWE Hall of Famer who no more than a year ago was in title contention in the WWE, and then he makes the jump over to what many would consider the second biggest promotion in the world, and it went over. It didn't piss Vince off. It didn't piss the New Japan people off. The fans loved it. So I don't know how many people other than Chris Jericho could have pulled this off successfully. For that reason, I struggle to say that the match was overhyped. Maybe people's expectations of what was going to happen in the ring were a little bit unrealistic. But outside of that, dude, this was a spectacle. And I dare to say, before I throw it to you, Joe, that there will be no match in 2018, WrestleMania or otherwise, that will top this match as far as significance, with the exception of Stone Cold coming back and having another match. Otherwise, you've already seen the match of the year, ladies and gentlemen, and it didn't have that much to do with what actually happened inside the squared circle. My thoughts. Joe, the floor is yours.
You know, I actually liked that match. I thought that from bell to bell, it was a really, really good match. It had some really awesome spots. Myself, my favorite match of the night was Okada versus Naito. I was really, really wanting Naito to beat Okada, and when Okada won, the only thing I could think of was fucking bullshit! I would have rather Naito win instead of Okada, but, you know, Okada sells tickets. Now, I'm wondering if because of the success of Chris Jericho going to New Japan Pro Wrestling, could we see kind of WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling working something out, and maybe we could see Kenny Omega or even Okada in the Royal Rumble this year as a surprise entrant.
You never, ever know. Drew, we're going to throw it back to you and let you close out High Spots with whatever your closing thoughts are, sir. Go right ahead.
So, yeah, absolutely. So what Joe just said kind of intrigued a thought within me, and I've been kind of thinking this for ever since I saw Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho and the hype that the build-up leading up to it and the match and everything. Joe was saying that Kenny Omega could potentially be a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble. I had this thought, and you might have seen it. I put it on Facebook a few days ago, but it was this: what if? And this is just theoretically, what if Chris Jericho enters the WWE Royal Rumble this year? But not only does he enter, also Kenny Omega enters. And what would happen is Chris Jericho might eliminate Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega gets back in the ring, eliminates Jericho. What if Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho 2 doesn't happen in Japan, doesn't happen on the ROH All-Star show that they're doing, trying to fill a 10,000-seat arena? What if Omega Jericho 2 happens at WrestleMania 34?
That would be absolutely incredible. And just to kind of piggyback off of what Sonny said on the Facebook live feed, he says you really shouldn't expect anyone from NJPW and WWE except Omega. The general public doesn't know much about NJPW with the exception of Omega and the rest of the Bullet Club. Just thoughts. Drew, thank you for joining us tonight in the High Spot segment. It's always great to hear from you, and we always enjoy hearing from your alter ego, Douglas James, during the FWWC segment as well. Don't be a stranger, man, and welcome to the Wrestle Talk family. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you.
Adios. Joe, let me tell you something, man. We're going to keep this topic going because we've got a gentleman coming up next who is a huge wrestling fan. He actually reached out and was like, yo, love what y'all are doing over at WTP. I want to be a part of it. I'm an artist. I'm a fan. Can I get some love? And I was like, yo, no problem, son. We gonna get you some love, player. And he's an East Coast guy, bro. Originally from Jersey, man. Can't wait to talk to this guy. He's now residing in the great state of Colorado. But before we bring him on, Nightmare Jones, we actually got a new song that my man is getting ready to drop, and he's dropping it here first on the Wrestle Talk podcast because that's how we do it, baby. That's how we do it, man. You know we stay sharp like a number 2 pencil on test day, dog. You already know. So why don't you go ahead and cue up that music. Drop your pants a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get our swag on, brush your shoulders off or whatever you need to do, and let's get this track popping. Then we'll talk to my boy Alex all about it. Let's do it.
Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. I'm smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Call me Bret Hart. These darts are sharpshooters. Call me Bret Hart. These marks are smart losers. Off the rope clothesline, off the dope soul mine. Stone cold with the flow, merchandise the gold mine. Methodical slow grind, the prodigal show shine. I'm one of a kind, so you know the flow mine. Shooting star press the first with witty vision. It's hitting. Watch them block like Billy Kidman. The quotes that I'm spitting as I'm spraying at the door. The world scream for war, quote the Raven nevermore. You ain't Hulk, bitch, you're Horace Hogan. Relentless, won't stop till I'm done like Braun Strowman. Each word stings like getting hit with cell shots. So you can call each verse Scorpion Death Drop. Fuck a shot at the shoot. What's he gonna say when he laces it?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show for the very first time. Our boy Alex Torrez. What up, baby?
Hey, thanks a lot for the opportunity, and I appreciate what you guys are doing over there. Very entertained.
Hey, no doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. Nightmare Jones, take it away, man. I know you were digging that track, bro.
I was. I mean, so what made you decide to make a rap song about professional wrestling? You don't really see too many of them out there, so what made you decide to do that?
Well, there's 3 loves that I have. Professional wrestling, it helped me out when I was young. And 4, growing up, I escaped professional wrestling, video games, and television. So I always incorporated a little bit of professional wrestling in everything I did. So that was actually the catalyst. And of course, I was smoking weed one day and decided to write the entire song about wrestling.
Very nice.
That's awesome. Who was your wrestling idol when you were growing up?
Well, I liked Hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin when I was really young. And later on, I was a big Shawn Michaels fan when he kicked him in the booty stuff.
Yo, you're in the screen room with the Night Owl on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Who is this?
Nah, man, don't give me that, bro. You know who this is.
Ah, well, this isn't your normal number, bro. Hang tight. I'm going to get you on, all right?
Kid.
Things that he did in his career, because it took him from a tag team wrestler to a singles wrestler, and like he just skyrocketed since then. So yeah, definitely. Rene, I'm sure that you have a couple more questions. I don't want to take all the time, so you can take it away, sir.
Yeah, you know what, bro? I do got a couple of questions. The first one, Alex, your artist's name is GEKI. For those wondering, how do you pronounce that, and what does it mean?
All right, so the total name is GEKI. The name GEKI came from the old video game character that I believe was in only one episode of Street Fighter, and it was the first video game series and never seen again until later on. And the bot came from, I was a Twitch TV moderator a long time ago, and that just came with the end of the name, and that's what created the name.
Boom, GEKI bot, dude. I totally dig it. Let me follow up that question with this one before we bring on a caller. I believe we got somebody that's a South Jersey native, Philly native, that wants to jump on here with you. Hip hop and wrestling, man. A lot of the buildup that we've seen over the years, pay-per-views and things like that, you know, like the music, like I can think of now like AJ Styles theme, the Usos, and so many others. Where do you believe that tie-in is, bro, between wrestling and hip-hop? Because when they come together, man, it can be pretty harmonious. And now that I'm thinking back, jumping in the mental time machine, if I'm not mistaken, The Rock even did a song with Wyclef Jean back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was called It Doesn't Matter. So from your perspective, man, where does that tie-in happen, bro?
I think that tie-in goes back to the 70s. I think that hip-hop and wrestling both came up and became popular around the same time. Because I was living in New York watching the scrambled signal of WWF and listening to hip-hop and Run DMC at the same time. So I think it all culminated and became a culture because it grew around the same time. That's my opinion.
No doubt, man. I definitely appreciate that perspective. Well, from one old school perspective to another, my man Money Mayo, La Familia's very own, is going to jump on with us. And he is from the same neighborhood that you are, sir. Huge ECW guy, but we'll let the man speak for himself. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, my compadre, my brother from another mother, Money Mayo.
Hey, thanks for that welcoming in. And just before I start, just let everybody know it's La Familia for life, baby.
All day.
Hey, Alex, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Yo, I gotta say, I'm digging that song, bro. I'm really digging that song. I'm a real big hip-hop head, as much as I am a wrestling head. I wanted to jump on here and ask you a question. Since you being from the East Coast and now residing out in Colorado, I know in both of the areas there's a lot of great independent wrestling out there in both areas, in Colorado and the New York, New Jersey, Philly area. Is there any independent promotions or any independent wrestlers that you're really vibing right now? Or you just strictly a WWE guy? Hey, there's nothing wrong with being strictly a WWE guy. I got a lot of friends that are big wrestling fans, and they're strictly WWE guys also.
But it's an interesting picture I have on my Facebook. I actually have the WWE emblem tattooed on my arm. So a lot of it came from me growing up. So I'm really attached to it. So there's a meaning to it. So a lot of it is WWE and WCCW, WCW, a lot of television watching.
There you go, man. So, well, that was the only question I had, but I just wanted to shout it out, man. I think it's great that's what you're doing. You're intimating hip-hop and wrestling, and I know myself and Joe and Rene are all on the same tip. So you just keep it going, man, and sometime during the interview, if you can throw out your Facebook page, we can get some likes, we can get some shares, and we can keep the word going, bro.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir, and now I may go search out some independent wrestling from around here because you said that stuff.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
No doubt. Sonny, man, as always, bro, we appreciate you calling in. I know you're going to stay tuned into the show. And you know what? It's funny that Sonny brings that up because, and I think you're in Aurora, Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, but in Colorado, brother, Rocky Mountain Pro, doing big things over there. Our boy Derek Stone used to work out there. Dak Draper, who now wrestles here in Kansas City for NWL, came from Rocky Mountain Pro, and also the Howlets, who also are here now in Kansas City, came from Colorado. We'll get you hooked up. We'll get you linked up. And for those also wondering, we will play the full song during the break in just about 20 minutes once we wrap up the interview with GEKI Bot. But before we do that, GEKI, let me ask you this, man. Dating back to your days on the East Coast, man, you were probably right there in the epicenter, bro, when ECW was doing what ECW was doing. Do you have any memories of ECW? Because us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, man, we've been blessed, bro. We've had a chance to interview multiple ECW guys, including ECW original Angel Medina. Do you have any recollection of ECW since it was basically right down the road from you?
Oh, yeah. A lot of recollections. One of the biggest recollections I have of ECW was seeing Stone Cold come into himself on the mic during an interview with I forget his name.
Paul Heyman? Paul Heyman, yeah.
Yes. That's one of my, because I always knew he had what it took on the mic when he was in WCW, but when he moved to ECW after being fired while he was hurt, and he got on the mic and laid into him, I knew that the sky was the limit for that guy at that time.
Well, you know what? And the rest is history, as they say, because Stone Cold probably became one of the most recognizable names in professional wrestling history. Personally, my favorite wrestler of all time. And so when you talk about dating back to those days in ECW, that's obviously where the man got his start. And now, well, like I said, the story has been written and been told multiple times. And from what I hear, and I'm wondering how excited you are about this, they're getting ready to do the 25th anniversary show for Monday Night Raw, and they just announced that Stone Cold will be in the building, man. Raw's been around for 25 years. Are you excited about this upcoming show, man? There's going to be a lot of guest appearances. Who are you looking forward to seeing on the anniversary show? I don't believe it's this upcoming week, but the one after it.
Definitely Stone Cold. I think there's going to be a lot of beer tossing back, and I don't know, The Rock. The Rock may show up.
Dude, if The Rock showed up, that would be crazy. Austin and The Rock on the same show. But you know, The Rock would be more likely to show up on SmackDown since, well, the show's kind of named after him, right?
Pretty much.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you guys this, man. As we look forward and prepare for the end of January, the Royal Rumble is right around the corner, guys. The first all-women's Royal Rumble is going to take place. And then, obviously, the men's Royal Rumble. I'm going to throw to you, Joe, because we hadn't talked about this yet, I don't think, at least not too much. Surprise entrance at the 2018 Royal Rumble. Have you started to think about who you think might show up that night? And if so, who do you think it might be?
Surprise entrance. Let's see here. I'm thinking that if anybody, it's going to be either Chris Jericho or Goldberg. I think it's going to be one of those two that are going to show up at the Royal Rumble.
Hold on, what was that say? What was that? What was that second name?
Goldberg.
Oh, Goldberg.
Gilbert, maybe.
Well, that's funny. That's funny because everybody on the Facebook Live thread thought you said Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle? No.
Got him!
Oh man, what about you, Alex? Who shows up either in the women's or the men's Royal Rumble 2018?
I'm hoping to see Lita show up. Maybe wrestle in the Royal Rumble. Let's see. Isn't it only like 11 participants that have been announced in just for the men's Royal Rumble?
Yeah, so far we're around, something like that. Something like that. I think it's been 10 or 12 so far. Now, what a lot of people aren't thinking about is immediately we think guys that haven't been around for a long time, right? But what I'm curious about is who from the NXT roster could possibly make the jump into the Royal Rumble. Because if you guys remember, last year we saw the perfect 10, Ty Dillinger show up in the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
So if I narrow it down a little bit and ask you guys who from NXT do you think could possibly appear in the upcoming 2018 Royal Rumble, what would your answer be then?
I would say Eric Young.
Eric Young, okay, that'd be good. But you're gonna take away the leader of Sanity and leave the rest of them to fend for themselves? I don't know, maybe. What about you, Alex? Do you follow NXT?
I follow some of it, and I've been looking at the list. And Drew McIntyre's been out a while, huh?
He has. I think he's still scheduled to be out at least another 3 months. But that'd be a good one, though.
Wow. Yeah. Fabian?
Okay.
Yeah, that's a hard one from the NXT roster, besides the champion.
Right. Andrade is the champion. Let me give you guys 2 names from NXT. One, Aleister Black. The hottest name in NXT right now. Yeah, he's not the champion. He's the kind of guy that doesn't even really need the belt to be the top guy down there. Okay? I would love to see Aleister Black in the 2018 Royal Rumble. You know who else I would love to see in the 2018 Royal Rumble? Adam Cole, baby!
That would be a good one, too.
Those 2 guys.
Good one, too. And
go ahead, Joe.
They always have somebody comes back that's been injured. Who has been injured for quite some time that is pretty much due to come back?
Who has been injured? Not Dean. Is it an NXT guy or a... I know. The Velveteen Dream? You talking about the Velveteen Dream?
Part of a tag team with Enzo Amore. You haven't seen anything?
Wow. Big cast.
Yeah.
That's a good one, bro. You know what, Joe? You can't teach that. Bro, that is a good one. Because you know where I thought you were going with it? Johnny Gargano's partner, Tommaso Ciampa.
Gargano?
I thought that's where you were going.
Tommaso.
Could be anybody.
Dude, it could be anybody, guys. It really could be any freaking body. Well, let's do this, guys. We got a little bit of time left. We got to leave a little bit of time for the song. So why don't we go ahead and jump right in to tonight's Shoot and Shout segment, because I got a couple things that I got to get off of my chest. So in this segment, Alex, we all get about a minute, 30 seconds to a minute to just vent about something that's just really pissing us off, chapping our asses, or however you would, express a little bit of frustration. It's somewhat of a therapeutic session, okay, and it's all in fun. The best part is that it doesn't even have to be wrestling related. So we're gonna go ahead and hit the music, and Nightmare Jones, you'll go ahead and go first. Intern Timmy, cue up the shoot and shout music, and let's get right into it, baby.
It's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everything is, everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify. If someone's head off, no human contact.
All right, I would definitely go first. My shoot and shout for the night is I wanted to get tickets for the Royal Rumble. I go online, and the cheapest ticket you can get is $250. I am not spending $250 for nosebleed seats to watch the Royal Rumble. As much as I love the Royal Rumble, there is no way in hell I'm going to pay $250 to sit in section 400 to watch the Royal Rumble. That is insane.
Joe, that is way too much money for tickets to the Royal Rumble, especially if you got to sit in the nosebleeds. All right, GEKI Bot,
right?
You are up, dude. What is pissing you off? You are up on tonight's edition of the Shoot and Shout segment right here on the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Rene.
Awesome. You know what's pissing me off? The state of hip-hop. All this mumble rap and repeating the same lyrics over and over and over and over again. When you break down the song, it only lasts 30 seconds of lyrics, and the rest is just repeating the same thing over and over again. And it's used to implant little feelings of inadequacies in your brain. So, yes, the state of mumble rap and the state of hip-hop and how everything popular now is dumbed down.
You know what? It is pretty bad. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
You're talking about the song Gucci Gang that, like, all he says is Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, like 30 times. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's crap.
You know,
it lacks substance.
Dude, it lacks substance. And you know what? As pissed off as you are, there's actually somebody that's even more pissed off than you are. Let's go back to our buddy, the Iron Sheik. Iron Sheik, what do you think about mumble rap?
Fucking bullshit!
Oh my. Gotta love the Iron Sheik. You know what, guys? I'm struggling because I don't really have a shoot and shout today. There's nothing really irritating me. I've been in a pretty good mood. Nothing on this week's Raw or SmackDown. Oh, wait! There is something that's pissing me off. And I'll encapsulate it in one word. Spoilers. Spoilers! Oh my goodness! I had to stay off of social media for 2 days so that I wouldn't get the results of WrestleKingdom. Now, fortunately for me, this is me voicing the frustrations of some of my friends. I was lucky enough to be able to stay up and watch it. But my buddy Brandon, my buddy Shannon, we're all like, yo, I can't even check my Facebook because everybody and their mama thinks they're Bill Apter. Everybody and their mama thinks that they're the damn Bleacher Report and that they got to put it on their page, who won, why they think that they won, why it sucked, why it was the greatest match of all time. Jeez Louise, ladies and gentlemen. Watch the show. If you're a real fan, make the time to watch the show. That's cool that you like to read off of the dirt sheets and all that. Listen, it doesn't bother me. The bottom line is I want to actually watch a show and I can't always watch live. So don't be a dick about it. And stop putting Freaking spoilers all over the damn place. It is absolutely ridiculous. And for those assholes that are saying, well, stay off of social media, maybe you shouldn't turn on your phone. That's exactly why I'm pissed off, because I don't want to stay off of social media. I want to check on my friends. I got friends in the hospital. I have no other way to communicate with them. So I check on them through Messenger and Facebook, okay? So every once in a while, I would love to be able to go on there and just read about what's going on in people's lives instead of everybody thinking that they got to be the news reporter of the day. Anybody dropping spoilers, you're garbage, and I'm sick and tired of you, and that's my shoot and shout for tonight. Man, I think I need a drink of water right now because I'm hyperventilating over here. It's insane. Insane. That's my shoot and shout, guys. Alex, 2 last things before you go, brother. Tell everybody where your social media is at, how they can find you, and then intro your song, bro, because we are going to play it from beginning to end. The floor is yours.
All right. This is Alex Torrez, a.k.a. GEKI Bot, a.k.a. GEKI, 3 names, Gek. And you can find me on YouTube at GEKI Bot, and you can find me on Instagram at the Alex Torrez. And this is right here, my track, Psycho Sid, and enjoy.
Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. I'm smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Call me Bret Hart. These darts are sharp shooters. Call me Bret Hart. These marks are smart losers. Off the rope clothesline, off the dope soul mine. Stone cold with the flow, merchandise the gold mine. Methodical slow grind, the prodigal show shine. I'm one of a kind, so you know the flow mine. Shooting star press, the first with witty vision is hitting. Watch them flop like Billy Kidman. The quotes that I'm spitting as I'm spraying at the door. The world scream for war, cook the raven nevermore. You ain't Hulk, bitch, you're Horace Hogan. Relentless, won't stop till I'm done like Braun Strowman. Each word stings like getting hit with cell shots. So you can call each verse Scorpion Death Drop. Fuck a shot at the shoot. What's he gonna say when he laces his boots up and breaks kayfabe? Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Shooters at the barbershop, get 16 and lose it. I'll break up your team with some sweet chin music. Leaping off the top rope, a savage like Macho. A genius with the poetry, leaping Lanny Popo. Chicago made punk, hip hop made me. Call me HHMGBOT. Get spitted like Boogeyman in a horse skit. Then pats himself on the back like Barry Horowitz. I know the ropes well. Don't end up like Ted with no hope and broke like Psycho Sid's leg. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling.
Diesel, in your house, you know you escaped by the hair of your teeth. But to book yourself to face the winner of a 20-man battle royal, and knowing the very next night you have to climb in a cage with my animal. You're just not very smart, and you, my friend, are going down in the garden.
Woo!
One man survives. In this game, I am the master.
Well,
wrestling fans, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat talking at you, and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Dude, that was definitely a banger. That was a good song. I enjoyed that.
Hey, I shared the YouTube page on tonight's live broadcast For those listening to the replay on iTunes or on the WrestleTalkPodcast.com, just go to YouTube and type in GEKI Bot. GEKIBOT. I typed it in all caps and it popped right up. The first song you'll see is a song called Shaolin Ninja, courtesy of GEKI for alien-free music. Good stuff, dude. I'm absolutely loving GEKI, bro. He knows his WWF, WWF, and WWE. And you know what? Let's be honest. Most of us started just as WWE fans to begin with anyway. So if that's what your passion is, go for it. Because that's what the Wrestle Talk podcast is all about. With that said, Nightmare Jones, we are now in the second hour. And you know what that means, right, brother? You know what that means, right, brother?
We are getting ready for the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide segment.
Woo! Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, as the phone lines begin to fill up, because we know that they will, they always do for this segment, allow me to explain what fantasy wrestling is. Fantasy wrestling. Anybody who's ever dreamed of being a professional wrestler but physically cannot do it. It could be your job, it's because you have kids, it's because you physically, health-wise, can't get into the ring and do it. We have an alternative for you, ladies and gentlemen. It is fantasy wrestling. What we do in the world's greatest fantasy wrestling group, the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide chapter, is we compete for championships. That's right. No, we don't have everybody writing the stories like in those mail-in e-feds from back in the day. No, we actually compete. And not only do we compete for real, Nightmare Jones, we also compete for real championship belts. And those championship belts right now are all over the place. We've got some out on the East Coast. We've got some down in Florida. We've got some in the state of Missouri. We've got some in the state of Kansas. We got some in the state of Illinois. We've even had them in Mexico. We've had them in Canada. Dude, everywhere, bro. The FWWC is throwing rhymes like weight. You win a championship in this group, we will mail you a replica belt. But when you lose, you got to mail it to the next guy. How do you do that? How do I win a championship? Well, it's pretty easy, guys. WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Slide on over to the FWWC tab. Read all about us. Click the link. Join in, and we'll fill you in on all the details. But here's what you got to know. Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, NXT Live specials, and pay-per-views. You have never experienced competition unless you've been involved with the FWWC. Take notes, ladies and gentlemen. The world's greatest fantasy wrestling group has now taken over the Wrestle Talk podcast. That being said, Nightmare Jones, let's get the first caller on. Who's on tonight?
The first caller we got tonight is a man that's been on the show multiple times, Mr. Tank Westbrook. What is going on, my friend?
What's up, Nightmare? How you doing? How you doing, Night Owl?
Doing good, buddy. Thanks for calling in.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
What's up?
Hey, I got two things. Two things that I kind of want to talk about real quick. First of all, I told Future to look into the future and realize that he should never mess with the Theme Punk Collective. He's lost to Mason the Mechanic Murray. And then, as of last night, he lost to me. And I told him not to mess with us.
Well,
second of all,
let me jump in. Let me jump in, Tank, before you move on. For those who don't know, Future has been on a crusade to destroy the Steampunk Collective. At this point, do you even know why he's on this crusade? Because he seems pretty determined to destroy you guys for good.
the reason that he says that he's willing to destroy the Steampunk Collective, and the reason he's willing to destroy the FWWC, especially Team Red, is because nobody here in the FWWC respects him. When the guy came in, I extended a hand to him saying, you know what, I will help you out as much as I can. I gave the guy respect, and he went and did his thing with Haas Mafia, with Hardcore Hawk, and them. But, he turned his back on them, and then he turned his back on the FWC and says that he has never had respect given to him. Well, he's a little crazy. He's a little delusional.
Little crazy, a little delusional. Well, let me ask you about this, Tank, before Nightmare Jones jumps in. A little bit earlier, myself and the board of directors put out a message concerning the FWWC brand battle. And as it turns out, FWWC Red came out on top, and later this week, those points are going to be used for drafting from the free agent pool, competing for the opposing brand's championships, maybe introducing some new championships, or something else that has not yet been disclosed. So tell us, what brand are you on, and how do you feel about the results?
Well, I am on the greatest brand. You said it yourself, Team Red is ahead. And you know why? That is because Team Red is one of the greatest brands out there, and I am a part of that Team Red.
Dude, no doubt about it, and I'm curious to know if you, let's put our fantasy cap on, if you're okay with that, Tank. If you were the general manager of Team Red, and you were up first, and were able to choose from any free agent currently available, who would you choose?
There's two people I would like to see on Team Red, believe it or not, and that is Jack Hazard, and that is the free agent, the United States Championship, Robert. Me personally, I'd like to see both of them on Red. So if I was general manager, it would, I would talk to the Team Red and see what everybody's thoughts were, or where they would go if they were in Arden Murphy's shoes. If I was in his shoes, like I said, I would go after Jack Hazard, and I would go after Robert.
Jack Hazard and Robert, two guys, one new, one's been around for a while, making a lot of noise. Robert seems to feel like he's not getting the respect that he deserves, but every day there he is on the FWWC making noise and staying relevant, despite what some people may think. And then you've got Jack Hazard, who came in and has done exactly what his name says, cause hazard, and to this point, the man has yet to lose a match. So Tank, you sir, are on point, because either one of those guys would be an absolutely amazing selection.
No, I agree, and that's one of the points and reasons why I would go after Jack Hazard. The guy is unstoppable right now. He is undefeated. Nobody has been able to defeat him. So why wouldn't I not want him to come onto my side and help me build up more points to be able to show Team Blue why Team Red is better than they are?
Well, you know what? I'm not sure how Nightmare Jones feels about this. Nightmare, I know you've got your opinions, and maybe they're pretty similar to Tank's, because you as well are a part of Team Red, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yes, I am. Definitely Jack Hazard would be a great pickup, and, I agree, Robert would be another great pickup, because that would give us the United States Championship. But my question to you, Night Out, is if Rivera doesn't end up getting picked up, how long are we going to allow him not to defend his United States Championship?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that, Nightmare Jones. That's a very good question. What do you think, Tank? What should we do with the United States Championship?
No, that's a very, very tough question. I personally, I don't want to say we should strip him of the title, but at the same time, if nobody picks him up, we should, something that should have to be done. I can't complain about Arden because he picked me up. He's given me the opportunity after opportunity that he has. Corbin Slater, he had his opportunity. I know I'm saying it. That one is a very touchy subject for me.
Understood. No, definitely understand that. Nightmare. Do you have any thoughts for Tank before we let him make his final statement here on the FWWC segment?
No, you just keep doing what you're doing and everything will be fine. Just make sure that you stay out of Nightmare Jones' way because I would hate to have to put you on the shelf. Just saying.
Jeez Louise, calm down, Nightmare.
You're telling Tank that I need to stay out of your way? Is that what you're saying?
Uh-oh.
I believe that's what I said. Stay out of my way.
Woo!
I mean, we can settle. We can settle this in the ring, boys.
All right. This Steampunk Collective, La Familia stuff. Let's keep it to a minimum here tonight. We know you guys hate each other's guts. And there's no reason for us to discourage that, except for the fact that it's time to move on to another caller. Tank, thank you for your time tonight, man. Make sure you jump in the chat. Let's see if we can get some blue people in here, bro. We got nothing but red in the house. We got Douglas James getting ready to come up next. We got you. Where the hell is Team Blue? I mean, one has to wonder, is this why Team Blue lost round 1 of the FWWC brand battle? Where the hell is Team Blue? APB, hello? Anybody in there? Where the hell is Team Blue? I'm wondering. I have no idea.
And they say they're the superior brand. Oh.
Wow.
Got him! Got him!
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Tank Westbrook. Now let's go ahead and bring on the next caller. This gentleman has been in the hospital. He's disappeared. We'd like to ask this gentleman a couple of questions. Douglas James, welcome to the show.
What's up, Night Owl? What's up, Nightmare Jones? It is my pleasure to be on the FWWC portion of the Wrestle Talk podcast.
Yo, what up, Douglas James? Great to hear from you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I've been, as the fans know and as you all know, I've been, I guess busy lately. In and out of the hospital, in and out of the ring. It seems like I couldn't quite get my bearing in the ring. Every time I step in the ring, I'd step right back into the trainer's office, step right back into the hospital. But right now I'm feeling good. I made my return to the ring. You saw last Tuesday after the match between Jack Hazard and Elwich Door to KC, and I made myself known again. I made myself known to Jack Hazard, and I told him that the only way he's going to be able to keep me down, he's going to have to finish the job, and that seems to be what he hasn't been able to do yet.
Gotcha. Well, Douglas James, I have to ask you this question. And I know we touched on it last time that you came on. This thing with you and Jack Hazard looks like it has no end in sight. But despite these rivalries that you have going on, I'm curious, are you eyeballing any particular championship at the time or at this time? Because ultimately, that's what we're here for. We're here to put on a great show, entertain the fans, and become champions. So, what championship are you setting your sights on, sir?
Absolutely. So obviously right now, I have, this whole issue with Jack Hazard, and I'm trying to move past this. Hopefully next Monday when I face him, I can finally beat him and finally vanquish Jack Hazard. And then once I do that, man, on the red team we have a double champion. We have Saint, who is both the European and the hardcore champion. And the way it looks, the European Championship is being built as the #1 championship on Team Red. So obviously, we're all here to be the face of Team Red. So I would love to face Saint one-on-one and challenge him for his European Championship. And if I get that opportunity, if I get that chance, I will make the best of it, and I will not let Team Red, I will not let General Manager Arthur down.
All right. Well, somebody needs to make sure they pass that message along to the general manager of Team Red, because it sounds like Douglas James is on pursuit or in pursuit of the European Championship. Douglas James, we always appreciate having you on the show, sir. Thank you very much for joining us once again tonight.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, Nightmare, I know the phone lines are absolutely off the chain right now. Before we go to another caller, I have a question for you, sir. You are one half.
Okay.
You are one half of the next gen tag team champions. But there are murmurs. There is whispering going on in the background. Is your team truly a tag team, or is it simply a one-man show? Where in the heck is your partner? Why have we not seen Jimbo Slice? Is he injured? Is he sick? What is going on with Jimbo Slice? He's nowhere to be seen. We haven't heard from him recently. What the heck is going on? This is very un-La Familia-like, sir. What the heck is going on with your partner, Jimbo Slice?
I totally agree. I have been trying to get a hold of him and to get him on and get him more active, and but it just, I don't really know what the heck is going on. I know that I asked him to I say we gotta cut a promo, and he does his part and I do my part, and we put the promo up. But as for being a singles competitor and being active, I have no idea. I do not know. I don't know if he's busy, if he's sick. I don't know exactly what is going on with Jimbo Slice.
But Nightmare,
that's a good question.
Nightmare, it's your partner. It's your prerogative to know where he is and what he's doing. How can you sit here and tell us that you have no idea what he's doing? He's your tag team partner, and not only to mention that he's your tag team partner, he's also your brother in La Familia worldwide. I'm looking at the Facebook live feed right now, and people are calling for you guys to be stripped of your championships. There's no way you could be okay with this.
Stripped of our championships? No. See, we cut our promos. We're active. We cut our promos. We do our part. We do exactly what we're supposed to do. Jimbo Slice is a very, very busy man. You know that he's a trucker. You know that he's on the road, all of the time. So maybe that's the reasoning why he can't. I don't know. Maybe that is the reasoning why.
Is there a chance that Jimbo Slice, after being a champion on so many different occasions, is there a chance, Nightmare Jones, that he has become complacent?
Maybe. I'm telling you.
Maybe.
If you look at it.
Really?
If you look at it, Night Owl, all this started when he lost the Legends Championship.
Well,
he was the Legends champion. He was active, could be, and now since he lost it, it's like a part of him has went with it. So maybe he needs to win the Legends championship again. Maybe that's what he needs to do to get back.
All right. Well, let's just see if he can turn it around. And everybody loves Pops. I don't know. It's sad to see because Jimbo Slice is a legend. And honestly, it's unacceptable. And the fact that El Mata is allowing this to happen is embarrassing. And La Familia should be ashamed of themselves. And I'm starting to think that Jimbo Slice might end up on the milk cart next week if you guys don't do something about it pretty quick. That's just the truth. But that's just the opinion of the guy who runs the whole group. So get your asses in shape, or you might end up getting stripped. That being said, Nightmare Jones, we got another caller. Well, actually, we got time for at least one more caller. Why don't you go ahead and introduce this gentleman?
Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman that we are calling is a man that has called multiple times. He's the multiple champion. We all know him as a luchador de Kansas City. What is going on, sir?
Hello, everybody. How's it going tonight? SWC Blue team is here representing tonight.
What's going on, Luchador? Do we finally have some Team Blue representation in the house?
Yes, that's right. That's me right here, right now.
Wow. Well, it's about damn time, Luchador, because let me tell you, we've now had 4 red brand callers to 1 blue brand caller, and I don't know what's going on. I'm not really sure, okay? But what I can tell you is that Team Red is riding high because they won round 1 of our FWWC brand battle. I'm curious, being on the other side of the coin, how do you feel about it?
Well, I can tell you this right now. Yeah, Team Blue, we may be down right now. But I can tell you this. I remember another Team Blue that managed to they were down in their luck, but managed to get on, they got on the right track, and became champion, not once, but twice. That is our boys in Blue Tennessee Royal. I guarantee you that. The second round and beyond, we are going to come out on top big time.
Okay. Well, hey, strong words. Strong words from a luchador in Kansas City.
Believe me, I'm definitely going to guarantee you that.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Tank, and that is, now that we know that Team Red will be picking first.
Yeah, strong words from El Luchador.
Did we lose a luchador?
So, El Luchador, you recently went up against Jack Hazard, if I'm not mistaken. How did that work out for you?
Well, Jack Hazard, I'll tell you right now, this man is undefeated right now. He's 5-0. I like the way he worked in the ring with me last night and the week before. I think he has a lot of potential to become a champion in this league. And a lot of other FWWC rookies.
Love video. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Before we let you go, you are on the Blue Brand. What championship is El Luchador looking at right now? Out of all the championships, what championship is El Luchador looking at right now?
Well, the Blue Brand championship I'm definitely looking for right now. It's the Warriors Heart Championship belt. held by the one and only Allison Shea Atticus. Because believe me, we did have a match recently, and I took her to the limit. Even though I lost, I had pretty positive feedback about that match. And hell, in the next few weeks before the Royal Rumble, I wouldn't mind going one-on-one again with Allison Shea Atticus in a non-title bout.
Well, you know what, Nightmare Jones? I believe a luchador is not letting his loss to Jack Hazard deter him. And you know what? If anybody deserves an opportunity to compete for the Warriors Heart Championship, it's none other than a luchador de Kansas City. And you know what? It's also nice that we at least had one person of Team Blue call in tonight, because as it stands, I believe it's ending at 4-1, and we definitely got to work on that. That being said, that brings us to the conclusion of the FWWC segment. I want to thank everybody from the world's greatest fantasy wrestling group for calling in. It means a lot to us. You guys are a huge part of the Wrestle Talk podcast fan base, and we will forever be grateful to you guys for that. Thank you guys for being here once again. Nightmare Jones, let me tell you something, man. We've already had a tremendous show, and it's looking like it's going to continue to get even better, because I'm seeing the phone lines light up here. We've still got a few minutes before Jerry Bostic joins us. That's right, IWR's very own Jerry Bostic is going to be joining us on the show and telling us all about IWR, kind of how they got started, where they are now, where they are going. I know Jerry's a former in-ring competitor as well. And let me tell you something, man. I'm pretty excited about it.
Today, I don't want to have to cut you off, but we've got to get this caller warning. We were just talking about him. Jimbo Slice is live with us right now.
My. Look who decided to show up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back one of our most loyal listeners from the very beginning of the Wrestle Talk podcast, at least over the last couple of years, the legend, La Familia's very own, Jimbo Slice.
What's up?
What's up, Jimbo? Make sure you speak up so we can hear you, bud.
Oh, not much. Just
working, staying busy. Well, I got a couple of questions for you, Jimbo. A lot of speculation here in the FWWC about your commitment to being the best superstar that you can be. People are calling for your titles to be stripped. This is not like you, Jimbo. We need to know, where are you? Where is the Jimbo Slice of old? Because let me tell you something, man. The fans of the FWWC are very impatient. You are one half of the Next Gen champions. Tell us, what is your game plan moving forward?
Well, my game plan is to get more in the FWWC, get back to where I was at.
And how do you plan on doing that, Jimbo?
I plan on doing more promos. Probably do some more shows with Jimbo Slice on the road.
One of my favorite segments. Stories from the road with Jimbo Slice. Well, I'll tell you this, Jimbo, it's great to hear from you tonight. We were looking forward to having you back on, and we're even more eager to see what you can do on the page, man. You go ahead and have yourself a great evening, and we will catch you down the road.
All right, later.
Well, Nightmare Jones, sounds like your partner decided to show up. What was that all about?
Like I said, you talked about him, and, he's not going to sit there and let you talk about him and not call in. He listens to the show, so, It is what it is.
Nightmare, listen, I wasn't...
Call in and let everybody know that First Life is still here.
Well, listen, you say I'm talking about him. I'm just the host of this show. I'm just bringing to light what the members of the FWWC were already saying. I mean, people are calling for the championships to be stripped. What do you want me to do, not cover the news? That's what we're here to do on the Wrestle Talk podcast, man. You know that.
I totally understand.
All right, well,
Rene,
go ahead, Joe.
About that time.
It is about that time.
It is about that time. Now, we know that Big Daddy P is not here tonight. He is still, you said he was still in the hospital?
He is, man. And you know what? We want to dedicate tonight's High Spot segment to Big Daddy P. As you guys know, every week on the show, we take maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes to pause and to show appreciation and thanks to the big man above for giving us the opportunity to run the Wrestle Talk podcast, now on episode 177. We since had a spin-off show, which we do on Mondays, which is dedicated exclusively to the FWWC. Last year alone, Joe, I think you and I combined went over to 100 wrestling shows, and we continue to accumulate incredible guests, great fans, and I mean, honestly, it's truly a pleasure to have the associations that we have in the wrestling business. I mean, here locally, you're talking about National Wrestling League, you're talking about Kansas City Extreme Wrestling. In the Midwest, you're talking about Dynamo Pro, SICW. I mean, I could just keep going and going and going down the list, and I'm excited because if it were not for the big man upstairs, none of this would be possible. And part of our success can also be attributed to Big Daddy P. So instead of doing a prayer tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to play about a minute of Big Daddy P's theme music and maybe observe it silently. So maybe we can send some prayers and good vibes to Big Daddy P, who is currently in the hospital dealing with some serious appendicitis. If I have that correct, I believe that's what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming back with Jerry the Boss Bostic of IWR. But before we do that, we're going to hit this for our man, Big Daddy P. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, big shout out to Big Daddy P, one of the main reasons we are able to do what we do, and also the man that helps us with www.WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Folks, the time has finally come. And I see all the prayers you guys are sending through the Facebook Live, man. I really appreciate it. But anyway, the time has finally come, ladies and gentlemen, for our featured guest of the second hour. This gentleman travels around the country quite a bit. I actually saw him in Kansas City Comic-Con about a month ago, and he was in town enjoying the festivities, but he was also in town on business because he had some representation here in Kansas City. He had Chavo here, he had Katie Forbes here, he had Ryback here, he had MVP here, and now he has done us the favor of joining us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast for the very first time. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the boss, Jerry Bostic. Jerry, welcome to the show, buddy.
Man, thank you guys for having me. And yeah, I had a blast at the Kansas City Comic-Con. That was a good time.
Oh, dude, you know what? It was a good time because yours truly happened to be there with a promotion based here out of Kansas City, and I had no idea you guys were even going to be there, and it just so happened that you guys were set up right next to us, and it was so cool, man, because I'm sitting there, I'm doing my thing, and I'm looking at my heroes, man, and they're sitting there, they're signing autographs, man, some of the nicest people I've ever run into in the wrestling business, man.
Oh, my God. You know, like, I'm very blessed to do this. And you're right, they really are. Almost every single one of them are such good people. You know, like it's they're great reflections of the wrestling industry.
Well, no doubt about it, and I can tell you, I've had the pleasure of hearing you on multiple occasions through the IWR Facebook page, but also I know you've done some work with our friends over on the ropes, Oscar Rendon and Ray Denmeyer. They're both great friends of ours, based out of the St. Louis area. And I know for sure that that's one of your things, Jerry. You like to do business the right way. I know you guys have been in business since 2014. You, alongside Justin Roberts, Jim Ross, and many others, have created this monster known as IWR. But I'm curious, I got to ask, man, how did this whole thing even originate?
Man, to be honest with you, I was in wrestling for 7 years before IWR, off and on, and I had blown out my knee, and so I kind of retired for good. And then Coyote, one of the members of the Aero Club, is one of my good friends, and we actually worked together temporarily for a point of time. And he's like, "Man, we should get back into wrestling," and I was like, "No, we shouldn't." No, we should do it one more time. You know, it's like, no, I'm done with it. And then, you know, it's like, I honestly had not thought about getting back into wrestling. And then, as stupid as it sounds, like I went home and then like a couple of days later, because he had put that idea in my head, I had a dream about it. And it was funny because for the first 7 years, we never really left Ardmore. And for those of you who don't know, Ardmore is directly in between Oklahoma City and Dallas. It's like a little town, about 25,000 people. We did little shows there all the time.
Okay.
And it's funny because I had a dream that we were successful, but we weren't Ardmore. So I told him, I went back to work, and I was like, man, I was like, this sounds stupid, but I had a dream about it, and it was successful, so we should do it. But we're not going to be in Ardmore. And he's like, how? I was like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. And so, you know, the first few months, like, we rented a U-Haul everywhere we went until we raised enough money to where I took on a couple of partners, good friends of mine, and we got a trailer, and then, you know, kind of everything took off, and we're blessed to this day in the 4 years that we've done business to retain all of our partners and continue to add new ones. That first year we ran 8 shows, and this past year we ran 33. And that's, you know, it's amazing. It's truly a blessing from God.
Well, it is a blessing, man. And from afar, I know you guys are continuing to expand to the point where you're actually going to be running another show here in the great state of Kansas in Wichita. So how do you go from starting in a small town to now running outside of the state of Oklahoma in Wichita? How do you get to that point?
You know, expansion is natural, and if you want to do things greater than just, you know, stay where you're at, you have to eventually do it. And we got lucky enough to partner up with the Cotillion, and Richard is such a good dude. They're a really nice guy, and the Wichita area, they were so good to us. That's one of our favorite crowds. It's funny, me and Justin still talk about that crowd. We loved it. You know, they were chanting, "Please come back." And the show was so good. And, you know, then when we spent our time in Kansas City, we loved everybody there as well. And so, you know, Kansas is going to become more of a mainstay of ours in the next year. And we're going to keep building on that. And it was just one of those deals where, you know, like the stars aligned, and when things fall into place like that, you know, it's your job to do right by people, and I feel like we do, and that's why good things happen to us. And, you know, we're fortunate enough to come back February the 24th, and we're really excited about it. You know, it's, the people in Kansas are very wonderful people.
Hey, no doubt about it. As a guy who originally I was born in Mexico, but I grew up in South Florida. When I moved to the Midwest, man, it was a night and day thing. I mean, down in Florida, people are just, you know, they're out there trying to take care of their own business. But here in the Midwest, man, there's totally a different vibe. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I did have kind of a follow-up question for you. because I myself am starting to kind of dabble a little bit in the world of professional wrestling here locally. And something has kind of come up a few times, and I want to ask a guy who's had a tremendous amount of success up to this point, kind of what your thoughts are. When you're looking to book your shows, Jerry, how closely do you look at what the competition is doing? Do you try to avoid booking on the same days that other shows are running, or is that like the last thing that comes across your mind?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. This sounds good or bad, whatever, however you want to take it. But, man, I really don't pay attention to other people. Like, I wish everybody success. I really do. Like, I hope everybody succeeds. But, somebody's like, hey, we're going to run a show in Ardmore. So I'm like, great. You don't even have to tell me. Like, if I see it, I'm like, oh, I hope that goes well. You know what I mean? And I don't really see, I don't really like the idea of everyone being in competition with each other, because I feel like we're all in this business that we love and that we should work together and support each other. And I really don't think there's that many people that would undercut people on purpose. Like if for some reason I run a show and there's already a show running, like I don't do that on purpose. That's not me. To be honest, the only time I've ever even thought about doing that was I have crazy ideas of taking on WWE.
And we're cheering for you, brother.
I've already got the place picked out to do it. I'm going to do it in Atlanta. I just don't know when.
Nice. Let us know ahead of time so we can book our tickets, bro.
It's funny. They ran head-to-head against Oklahomania this year. And Oklahomania, is our signature event. And they ran in Oklahoma the same exact day. And we beat them. That was like, they didn't announce they were coming here until after we'd already announced the date of Oklahomania. And so whenever they dropped it, I was like, all right, game on. Let's see. And, so then I called in the big guys. We had Sting and Kevin Von Erich and Lex Luger and just an amazing card of talent. And, they can take their house show and stick it straight up their ass.
Yes! I love it. You know what, Jerry? It's so funny because that correlates to us a little bit, because initially, it was like a million wrestling podcasts, right? But, when Joe invited me to be a part of the show, I was like, hey, bro, let's do it, And, I'm kind of a newbie wrestling fan, maybe 5-6 years back, and then back to when I was a kid. But I never really cared what anybody else was doing. And, people are probably always popping up in your DM. Oh, hey, man, did you see this? Did you hear what that guy said or that? And I'm kind of like you. I'm like, dude, I don't give a crap. We're just going to put on the best show that we can and let the cards fall where they may. And I think everybody should have that attitude, because the quality of the product speaks for itself. It doesn't matter that there's a McDonald's across the street, because Burger King always seems to plant themselves right across the street from there. And it works, man. It's a spirit of competition. And it doesn't always have to be dark and shady. You know what I mean? Like, it's good for people to know that you're willing to step up and go up against the big guns. You could have easily pulled it, changed the date, but you didn't. And you're probably happy that you didn't make that move, right?
Honestly, I didn't care either way. Whenever they said they were going to do it, I was like, okay. To me, it's like, I'm a competitive guy. So whenever, after the first one, they ran Raw and NXT right before Oklahomania, and that could have been pure coincidence, and even this could have been. It's just rather odd that we waited and we moved Oklahomania back on purpose, and then whenever we announced it a couple of weeks later, all of a sudden they're in Tulsa the same day.
Oh, they're watching, bro. They're watching you, bro. They are.
Well, you got the nasty cease and desist from them a couple of years ago. So
very nice. And now they're doing it to the Bullet Club. That's hilarious. Well, before I throw it to my co-host Joe, I did want to ask you one more question. We get really excited about fan involvement here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. That's really what we're all about. And I know that the fans absolutely love all the big names that you guys bring in. But I know that the foundation of IWR, as important as they are, it's not the Stings or the Von Erichs. It's your guys. It's the Coyotes and those guys. So before we start talking about all the big names that you've brought in, could you maybe take a moment and tell us about some of your homegrown talent from IWR? Because I know that really ends up being kind of like what sets the tone for the rest of the show for you, right?
Well, honestly, the Von Erichs are kind of like our own. They don't wrestle for anybody else at this point, outside or in the United States anyway.
Awesome.
And, between them and Coyote, Kyle Hawk, Damon Windsor, Malico, Chandler Hopkins, Fuego del Sol. People are going to see, we have Montego Sika, Randy Price debuts this month.
Right.
We have a lot of really good, talented guys, and the thing about it is people don't even realize that if you really sit back and watch these shows, we're silently building our own brand. The same names popping up over and over and over, there's a purpose of it. And, like, our locker room coexists so well. It's funny, we never have any issues. Like, literally, we have these shows, and whether it be, like, the names or whether it be the local guys, whatever, we show up and we cooperate together as a family. We put on great shows. We do nothing but laugh and have a good time. And then, it's funny because wrestling's so political, but it's only that way because people let it be that way. And whenever you don't let that atmosphere go on, then it doesn't, and it ceases to exist. And our shows are based off, everybody's mutual love for professional wrestling, putting on a great show and conveying that to the fans and being personable with them and giving them something that they won't forget. And a key part of that is our people. And, the cool thing about coming back to Wichita, not only will you see all of those guys, but you're also going to see the debut of Brian Pillman Jr., who is another piece of what we're starting to build. It's like IWR, we pay homage to the history of professional wrestling. And wrestling was never broke, so it never needed to be fixed. So for everybody that misses what wrestling was, you come see an IWR show and you're going to leave. And, I hope with everything that, that I am, that everybody leaves happy. And it seems that most of the time they legitimately do. So.
Wow, no doubt. Brian Pillman Jr. is funny. We actually just shared a story on our Facebook fan page about Brian Pillman Jr. Working out and stuff. Some news reporter kind of did a story on him, so I thought that was pretty incredible. But I don't want to be selfish. My co-host is kind of chomping at the bit here, wanting to jump on with you, Jerry. Joe, jump on in, buddy. I know you've got some questions and comments for Jerry, so go right ahead.
I do. First of all, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on to the show tonight. What I wanted to talk about was Oaklamania. Now, somebody that has never been to a Oaklamania, what could I expect when I go to an Oaklamania show?
I mean, honestly, in my opinion, it's the caliber of the WWE show, except it's more personable. You know what I mean? I mean, you're not going to see you're not going to see pyro and crazy stuff like that. But as far as the wrestling content, like this past year, Sting and Kevin Von Erich in the ring for the first time. That's something you'll probably never see again. Gail Kim versus Evil East. That'll never be seen again. Wow. There were so many wonderful matchups on the show. The show itself was insane crazy. It's funny because the show is done. Like, it's edited. It's going to be released in the next month probably on digital download and via a network that we're starting to build on our own. And, it's a very exciting time for us, and that's, honestly, it's the biggest pain in the ass of my whole entire year is to put that show together. But, the things that you give to the wrestling fans and that you give to the wrestling community in general, like that stuff is, it's priceless. So despite all the hard work and all the hours that go into mapping out Oaklamania, and both times that we've done it, I've been extremely pleased with it. The show was actually named by Jim Ross, oddly enough, whenever he brought it up, because we planned the first one together, like step by step. And Jim has been a wonderful mentor to me, and I'm lucky to have him in my corner, and he's knocked down doors that I could not have done on my own. And whenever he brought up the name, he's like, "Oh, we should call it Oaklamania." I just laughed at him. And he's like, "What? There's not one." I was like, "Oh, yes, sir." That's funny. That's where the name comes from. What do you say? If Jim Ross tells you it's going to be Oaklamania, that's what it's going to be. And, JR is a one-of-a-kind guy. And I work with a lot of those, like Sting, one-of-a-kind guy. Like, we've shared some really special moments together. And, IWR, despite the talent that comes in there, to me it's more about the people that they are. And everybody that we employ, they're good people, and they're a reflection of what we stand for. And that's not just our local people, that's all of them as well. So, it's like, to me, Oaklamania is like the culmination of our hard work throughout the year. And this is our gift back to everybody as a wrestling fan. And it's hard. It's like the second year, I'm thinking, what can we do to top the first one? Oh, we'll do Sting and Kevin Von Erich first time in. And, now it's like, with the third one approaching, it's like, what are we going to do, brother?
Absolutely. My last question before I go back to Rene, when I was going through your
You only
YouTube...
had 2 questions. If you were waiting this long and you had 2 questions...
Come on, Joe.
When I was going through your YouTube, I noticed that you have a tag team called the Aero Club, and this tag team is going up against the Von Erichs. How did that match come about?
You know, it's funny. The Aero Club they were actually, and you know, I came to them with this idea about being heels, and I was like, hey, you know, you guys would get over really well if you really bought into this, and you know, you were all of a sudden wanting to take your land back. You know, I mean, it's organic, generic heat, where, you know, you can automatically, fans can identify with it even though you don't have a television product. Whenever you come to the show, they come out and cut this promo, you automatically understand what's going on because it's just straight history. It's already been written, you know, in the history of the world. And Coyote and Kyle Hawk work really well together. Kid Cash is a member of the Aero Club. Navajo Warrior is a member of the Aero Club. Chavo Guerrero is even teamed with the Aero Club. And their chemistry, Kyle and Coyote especially, they worked so well with the Von Erichs. To me, it was honestly like recreating the Von Erichs and the Freebirds of the 80s. And you better believe if you did not watch any of those matches that they tore it up, my goodness. I mean, you know, I think they both made each other better, the Von Erichs and the Aero Club. And to watch them work those matches, I mean, there was so much like raw emotion involved from a fan standpoint. You look out in the crowd, and you know, you like taking the Von Erichs to Texas is a special deal, anyways, because it was the first time like they ran like these 3 shows back to back to back in that area. And you look around, and all their fans, they were so emotionally connected to it that it's like they were watching the brothers wrestle again. You know, it was really to watch them. You know, it was a very special thing for me, and it's one of my favorite things that I tell people. You know, it's like one of my favorite moments in wrestling is that's what wrestling's about. It's about drawing people in on an emotional connection and hooking them. You know, like you believe, like you become involved with these characters and you buy into them. And that's what wrestling is. Wrestling is gimmicks, and it's good gimmicks that make you believe that, you know, like you believe in these people. And the story was so believable, and they worked so well together. Like, my hat's off to both teams. I mean, they're 2 wonderful tag teams that, you know, I'm blessed to say that they work with us.
Absolutely. I actually do have one more question.
That's correct.
How do you feel that independent wrestling has changed throughout the years?
Honestly, I hate the term independent wrestling, honestly. Like, I don't consider us to be an independent wrestling group. I think that, you know, like, independent wrestling is, I don't know. I mean, to me, we're all our own wrestling companies. And like I said earlier, you know, I hope the best for everyone. And, you know, I consider us, like, our end game is not to be considered some independent wrestling company. Like, our end game is to be, you know, like, we're going to compete with Ring of Honor, we're going to compete with Impact, and ultimately, we're going to compete with WWE. And that's where we're headed. I'm like, I think wrestling's not right now on this so-called independent level because people are not playing into WWE. You know, WWE is actually, their numbers are down so bad that they're doing combination shows in the same venue to save production costs. And they're coming after people trying to levy lawsuits on them like they did us. And honestly, like, that's great. You know, and Vince sold 100 million shares, $100 million in shares to buy football trademarks. That's good. Let him go back to football. The more Vince's attention is diverted into other things, you know, the more it gives us the opportunity to make a run at it.
Absolutely. Very, very, very good answer. Rene, I'm sure you have some more questions.
I do.
For Mr. Bostic.
I do, actually, and I'm reading off of our live feed here. I've got so many at my disposal. I'm just going to kind of cherry pick one. The question comes from our buddy Drew, and he's asking, what are the odds that IWR gets a TV or ITV deal in the near future?
You know, honestly, to be hearing about it, we've turned down 4 already. And the reason behind that is that I don't believe, like, our shows are to the point where they're so good that they are ready for that. But we have to get our production where it needs to.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
But yeah, I have any questions on them, and then go ahead and run through them. Like, I'll answer all of them. I don't mind.
Well, and I appreciate Drew for sending in that question. And the last thing I wanted to ask you before we get into the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge, Jerry, is you talked about expand. Yeah, that's right. I hope you're ready to step back into the ring against the Night Owl himself. But before,
I'm retired, man.
I know, I know you are, man. But before we get there, when you talk about expansion, you're doing shows in Wichita. You're obviously running shows in your home state of Oklahoma, but you're also going to be heading down to Texas, Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. Can you give us a little bit of info on that, my friend?
Yeah, we'll be at the Gas Monkey Live next weekend for God Bless Texas, and it'll be man, the lineup is phenomenal. We have Matt Seidel versus the Luchasaurus, which is, as far as I know, first time ever. Desi Dorada of the Aero Club versus Machiko-san. Coyote versus Lance Hoyt versus Damon Windsor in a triple threat match. Abyss versus Malico in a Monstrous Ball match, which will be great.
Wow.
Lisa Marie Varon, formerly known as Victoria, versus Sahara 7, the Squad World Order, with the new member of the Spirit Squad, Dolph Ziggler's brother, Riley, versus Devon Eriks and Hunter Hayes. I don't know if you guys have seen Hunter Hayes, but he's Michael Hayes' illegitimate son. It's pretty crazy. His video's on our page. If you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. It's really quite amusing.
Wait, is he? Hey, Jerry, is he anything like that guy that's been working up in Canada? Who's Big John Stud's illegitimate son? He goes by Big Sean Stud. Is it kind of that sort of deal? Because that's really awesome.
I'll tell you what, this guy is like, he's dead on with Michael Hayes' impression. He actually went so far, he remade the Bad Street music video, and he has it like picture-in-picture where you see him and Michael Hayes, and it's kind of creepy, you know, it's so good. And you know, outside of that, we have the Revolutionary Championship. It's going to be a 5-man ladder match, and that's going to be, you know, a wonderful match. And then we have the IWR Championship on the line for the first time ever in a singles match as MVP defends against Ethan Carter III. We're excited about that match, too. And all of that summed up with, you know, it'll be hosted by the best ring announcer in wrestling today, Justin Roberts, the best backstage ring announcer of all time, Mean Gene Okerlund. And it's headlined by an appearance by Sting and the return to wrestling of the Iceman King Parsons. So, I mean, you think about it, and like that show is a killer show. And it's not because the IWR presented it or whatever the case may be. It's because the talent on that show is exceptional.
Yeah, there's what we call facts, my friend. Absolutely sounds like an incredible show. Well, before we let you go, we're going to have you join us for a little bit of fun in what we call the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Now, let me tell you that I suck at this game. I always tell people I'm a relatively new wrestling fan. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, and I lose fairly often. I think I got lucky and beat ACH on our last show of the year, but that was my first win in like 15 weeks, Jerry. So I could say that you're pretty safe going into this trivia challenge.
That's great, man. You'll probably beat me too, so at least I know ACH lost as well.
Yo, and what's crazy is ACH happens to be like my favorite wrestler. So it was cool to close out 2017. Yeah, it was cool to close out 2017 to be one of my heroes. It was awesome. But with that said, we do have some entertaining music going into the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge, and we're going to have our intern Timmy hit that right now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's contestants are the Wrestle Talk Podcast own Night Owl and Jerry Bostic. The rules are simple. I will ask you both 3 questions regarding a professional wrestling topic. When you think you know the answer to the question, just shout out the answer. The first contestant to answer 2 of the 3 questions correctly.
Nightmare, I told you to start. Nightmare, I told you to start paying the intern. You see what happens when we don't pay the interns?
That's what happens. You know, I need to give
the first contestant.
This is important business before we go into trivia. I need to state, like, clearly that whenever Hulk Hogan turned bad and he went to the NWO, I did not watch wrestling 3 years, so I'm not responsible for any trivia questions throughout that period.
It's all good because the questions probably will be from like 1970, like they usually are, screwing me over every time.
Then we should. Let's do this. I'm excited.
Let's go.
In honor of January being traditionally known as the WWE Royal Rumble pay-per-view and the start of the road to WrestleMania, tonight's category will be famous seconds. All 3 of tonight's answers will have something to do with a famous second person in the Royal Rumble. For example, if I asked who was the second entrant in the first Royal Rumble, the correct answer would be Tito Santana. So it's pretty simple.
Jeez Louise.
Are you gentlemen ready?
All right. Ready? I don't know if that defines how I feel right now, but let's give it a whirl.
I'm totally going on.
Okay.
Oh, dear goodness.
All right. Question number 1. In 1989, the Royal Rumble history was made as tag team partners entered at number 1 and at number 2. Demolition Axe was entrant number 1. Who was entrant number 2?
He already got it, dude. Oh my goodness.
The answer would be correct.
Oh, jeez, I'm so dead.
That is 1 for Jerry Bostic.
Oh, God. This is not going to end well. All right, question number 2. Let's see if I can salvage something here.
You don't have to
that
you could play.
Really?
We definitely need that.
For real.
Question number 2. In the 1993 Royal Rumble match, this WWE Hall of Famer and master of the cross-faced chicken ring started as number 2 and lasted...
Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund would be correct. Bob Backlund, that means that Jerry Bostic has won the game show podcast challenge, but we're going to go ahead and answer his third question. Maybe Rene will be able to get this question right and redeem himself. In last year's Royal Rumble...
Hold on. This is in... Wait for it. Do you hear that?
What?
That's the Demolition theme song in honor of the first question.
Oh my God! Well, that actually makes sense because I'm being demolished. I'm being demolished right now. The only thing I want to know is, can a brother get a lifeline or something? This is embarrassing.
So there we go. We had to hear the Demolition theme song before we moved on.
All right. What's question number 3, Nightmare?
They wrote some of the best WWE theme songs of all time, and it was the gross disgusting that they released them because they have no loyalty to anyone in WWE in the end. It's going to answer to somebody.
And you know what? I've seen Demolition live and got a chance to meet those guys. Some of the nicest guys on the planet. You're absolutely right about the loyalty thing, dude. It's a damn shame. What's question number 3? Let's get this ass whooping over with.
Question number 3. In last year's Royal Rumble, this wrestler entered the Royal Rumble from the number 2 position and lasted just over an hour before being eliminated. Name last year's Royal Rumble number 2 entrant and the first ever undisputed champion.
Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho. Rene finally got...
I didn't get swept! Yay! I believe... Yeah, go ahead. I believe there's some celebratory music in order for Mr. Bostic.
There is. Jerry Bostic, You have won the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge, and here is your song.
Oh, dear goodness. Really?
Yeah, all I do is win, no matter what.
Oh, goodness.
That's funny.
There you go. Yeah. Let me say this.
You want to hear a funny story? I'll end the story. So we did a pay-per-view with Impact, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to air either the end of this month or next month. And so we're getting ready for the show, and they had sent Jeremy Borash to represent them. So it was me, Jeremy Borash, and Justin Roberts. And we're sitting there, and we're going through the lineup for the night, and we get to the championship match. And it was Montico Stika versus Eli Drake, which I think Eli Drake, outside of EC3, is the greatest talent that they've created on their own. And, you know, Impact sometimes doesn't get enough credit. You know, they talk about the women's revolution and all that garbage. The women's revolution started with the TNA knockouts, period. Led by the greatest Gil Kim. Anyways, so we're going through this lineup, and we get to that match, and we have no clue what the Impact Championship is called. And so I was like, oh, man, Jeremy, I'm sorry, man. To be honest with you, I don't know what the title is called. And I looked at Justin, and he's like, yeah, I don't know either. I was like, damn.
Ouch.
Yeah, no clue what their title is. I still don't know what it's called, honestly. You know, that's no disrespect to Impact or, you know, Eli Drake. It's just the fact that they changed their name like 3 or 4 times in a year, and I just got lost in it all.
You know what that makes me think of, Jerry? Remember the old show Price is Right, and somebody would lose?
Absolutely. Bob Barker, man, he's a legend. And somehow Drew Carey got the very involved in that, and I'm not a fan of that at all.
That's right. There it is one more time. That is a huge...
You overbid, man. You overbid.
Yeah, you overbid. You know, I always hated the people that would say $1. Those bums would always win. And I'm like, man, if I ever got my hands on one of those people, it would be over. But anyway, all kidding aside, Jerry.
Never talk your mom why they didn't get 2 bombs.
I know, exactly, right? You just outbid them by a buck. No doubt about it. Well, listen, Jerry, we've had a great time with you, man. We know you're super busy and you're doing a lot of huge things. It's truly an honor and a pleasure. I mean, obviously, we've heard your name and we've heard of IWR. And we do hope and pray that you guys continue to grow moving forward with that same passion and love and level of integrity that you guys have shown with your promotion, over the last couple of years. So you can now officially consider yourself a member of the Wrestle Talk podcast, and know this: one day in 2018, I will come looking for a rematch in the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. So whenever you're available, let us know, man. We'd love to have you back on, brother.
Man, thank you guys for having me. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for supporting us. I hope to see you guys in Wichita, February 24th. We just announced earlier today that Kelly will be joining us for the first time. Well, let me clarify. That's Barbie Blank.
Barbie Blank, that's right. Formerly Kelly.
Barbie Blank.
Barbie
so
Blank.
She'll be joining us for the first time. So will Melina Torrez. Melina Torrez will be joining us for the first time. So, we're already announcing the star-studded lineup for Wichita. Also, the debut of Brian Pillman Jr. There's a lot of good stuff going on, and thank you guys for supporting us and having us on to talk, or having me on to talk about it. I appreciate it, and I love the trivia game.
Hey, it's a lot of fun, Jerry.
If you have been looking stuff, you've got to put it on.
You got it. We'll definitely be looking you up, and I can tell everyone. I saw the Kelly Blank poster. Guys, IWR on Facebook. That's all I got to say about that, all right? We are signing out. Exactly. Enough said. Grace and peace to you, Jerry. You are the boss for a reason. We hope to catch you again down the road, brother.
Hey, ImperialWrestlingRevolution.com, or look me up on Facebook. I'm never too busy for our fans because, no lie, IWR started 4 years ago in August, and we started with nothing at all, and we've done all this in 4 years, and that's thanks to all of our great fans. So, everybody in the wrestling community, we're all family, and we should all get along, and we should all support each other. And that goes for everybody in Kansas. You should all support each other.
No doubt. And then one last...
Everybody.
And one last thing well, hey, one last thing before you go, Jerry. If you got a problem with Jerry the Boss Bostic or IWR, well, our friend the Iron Sheik has a couple of words for you. We are out of here, guys. Catch you next week, 7 p.m. Central Time. WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Shout out to our boys over on the Ropes. We love you, and we'll see you in February for Glory Pro. Peace.
Well, before we let you go, ladies and gentlemen, there is one last thing we need to do. Night Owl, you still with me?
I am, but what do we need to do, Nightmare Jones? We just had an incredible interview, great show.
It was great, but we got to talk about next week's show. Next week we got the Bully Smasher, Shane Reed, and Dynamo Pro Wrestling Champion, the Agents of Chaos, Victor Von Stein, and Xavier's Shadows. Also, if you enjoy reading about historical figures in the world of professional wrestling, make sure you pre-order your copy of our friend John Cosper's newest book, Don't Call Me Fake, The Real Story of Dr. David Schultz. We had Mr. Cosper on this show before, and he was awesome. We hope to have him on the show again. And both of the authors will autograph your copy of the book if you go to eatsleepwrestle.com and pre-order the copy of the book. So not only will you get the book, but you also will get the author's autograph. How cool is that, Rene?
Dude, I think that's awesome. eatsleepwrestle.com. That sounds incredible, bro. I'm going to definitely make sure I pick up a copy of that and read through it and then report back to you guys how the book was, man. But again, Joe, a great show. I'm looking forward to the Bully Smasher. He will be in studio right here sitting next to me, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, man, Dynamo Pro Wrestling always showing us love, man. Agents of Chaos doing big, big things, man. But that being said, Nightmare Jones, I think it's time for us to go ahead and close the show out, man. And what better way to do it than hitting our boy GEKI Bot's song one more time. Love y'all, man. Grace and peace. Night Owl, Nightmare Jones. We are out.
Smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking weed, watching wrestling. I'm smoking weed, watching wrestling. Smoking